Okay, do you currently live in California and you're looking at moving to Florida and you're really trying to compare? Am I even going to save any money in this state? Am I going to waste money when it comes to making the move? Like, what are the actual numbers when comparing Florida and California? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down every single line item from taxes to average wage, groceries, housing, all of it. And I'm going to break down each single topic and we're going to talk about it, kind of and compare. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about which one is the clear winner. Getting right into it, you have obviously everyone's favorite topic, which is taxes. It's not my favorite topic, but it's definitely a clear issue when it comes to living in California and Florida. So before I come to Florida, I originally lived in San Diego. Now I've lived in many different areas in the state. Originally was stationed obviously with the Marine Corps up in Fresno and Lemoore. Came down to San Diego for the rest of my enlistment during that time, or my wife, and we lived there for a number of years before moving to Florida. And I will tell you that San Diego area is not the cheapest. Obviously, it's not San Francisco, but it's not the cheapest. And California, man, they love your taxes. I don't get it. And people are like, I swear, if I have to hear another person say that that's the sunshine tax, I'll lose my mind. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. People just assume that you can just be taxed into oblivion, and it's completely okay. Like, who cares? What does it matter? Getting taxed into oblivion. It's annoying. I completely dislike it. So, what's the clear differences when you look at taxes between the states? So, obviously, the biggest thing that people notice when they come to Florida is no income tax. Now, obviously, you still have federal income tax. That's still a thing. But when it comes to Florida, they do not have income tax. So clear winner over California in this one. California, hey, even though you're working and not spending it, and they want to make sure they're taking that money from you, which is absolutely insane. I think it's un-American, shouldn't exist. Income tax, I mean, I can go into a tangent about that, but it's awesome. Florida is one of the few states that does not have state income tax, which is awesome. It's how it should be. You should only be taxed when you spend money. Obviously, there's property tax. That's a whole nother story. But obviously, going down the list here, all right, so obviously, no income tax, huge winner. Now, California has an income tax ranging from 1 to 12.3% when I look at that. Obviously, it can go higher than that, but as a state income tax, that's the rough income tax. Like, how crazy is that, right? That, like, if you happen to make more money, you're going to pay more money on that you make. Whether you spend it, no matter where you live, like, you're just spending more of that money. It's absolutely insane that they take that money out of your pocket before you even get to, like, do anything with it. Like, it's money that the state didn't earn that money. Hey, just my little pet peeve here. But Florida does not have an income tax, so that's a clear loser. California just obviously, if you're someone who makes a high income, like a W-2 income, then you're going to be better off when it comes to Florida, assuming your income stays the same, which we'll talk about later on. Some of the things I've seen with my clients, with myself included, and just getting involved with that. But yeah, when I came to Florida, now obviously I own my own business. I have a corporation, and obviously after a period of time, like, you pay tax on that, right? But when I came to Florida and I had myself on a W-2 wage, it's nice not having that income tax because it's just that much more you're saving in your business and in your personal life. Even if you're just someone who has a regular job, hey, you're saving that income tax, and that's awesome. Assuming obviously your wage can stay the same that you're getting paid to in obviously another state. Now, the next thing when it comes to taxes, obviously, is going to come down to overall sales tax. Now, obviously, look, when it comes to counties, like, some counties have their own sales tax that adds on to the state sales tax. Like, look, I'm not getting super complicated with this, but I'm just looking at the numbers, and I have links down below to all the information I'm talking about. I'm just looking at just the average sales tax. So for Florida, 6%, right? When you buy something, most items, maybe about 6% sales tax. Obviously, groceries are separate. And I'm not getting into those kind of taxes. I'm just talking about, like, just fun items like cars and things like that. Like, things that, like, are leisure items. 6% sales tax. California, it's about 7.25%. You know, not only are they taking your money, they want to make sure that you are paying more when you go to spend the money you have left over. It's great. It's a great concept, I'm telling you. You know, it's nice to be able to work for your money and then have them take it again when you go to buy stuff. It's fun. But that's obviously something that California, again, clear loser. They love their taxes. Man, the Californians love their taxes. It drives me insane being in California when I was. They just take everything. I just hate it. It drives me insane. Now, obviously, the next to that, what's the next big thing when it comes to taxes? Property taxes. Now, California wins in this one. Florida, it's an about 0.98% property tax. Now, in California, I've seen higher, right? The average seems to be about 0.71%. But I know when I was in San Diego, I still have my business there of helping people leave California. But when it comes down to it, California averages set 0.71%. I've seen higher, like Riverside County had a higher property tax rate. But overall, 0.71% is the average. In Florida, it's 0.98%. Like, it has a higher property tax, right? Obviously, you're giving up income, you're giving up whatever. And if you are someone who's looking to buy a piece of real estate, that property tax is going to be a little bit higher in Florida. Personally, it's okay. Now, if you happen to be one of my fellow veterans who is 100% disabled, you do not pay property tax in the state of Florida. So if that's you, you're watching this, hey, congratulations. You do not have to pay property tax in this state when you buy a home. So cool blessing if you're one of the service members that has a disability rating. It's a little bit of a bonus. Now, fun fact, in California, I know for a fact in 2022, they voted it down. Yay! Why would disabled veterans deserve property tax exemption? So, hey, you know, California's just racking it up here. And I'm not trying to bash on California. They do it to themselves. You know, it just is what it is here. But taxes, huge winner. Now, obviously, there's a lot more than that. Now, I will tell you when it comes to like taxes for closing on a home, this isn't just closing costs aren't just taxes. Taxes are included in that a little bit. You will pay higher closing costs when it comes to buying a home in Florida than California. It averages, like a good rule of thumb, 3% of the purchase price. Doesn't mean you're going to spend that much in closing costs, but good rule of thumb. In California, I used to use 2.5%, so a little bit cheaper. Like California, it's not so much the cost associated with the home that's the killer, it's the overall price. But we'll get to that obviously in a little bit. But so taxes overall, like it changes for everyone. Everyone's situation is different. No income tax, property taxes, things like that. But if you are concerned about how taxes could impact you, obviously what we do here on this channel is tell you about moving to Florida and specifically Orlando, surrounding areas, things like that. And I love helping you make those decisions and help you create those plans. As a licensed real estate agent, also helping with real estate decisions is just what I do for a living. It's helping relocations, helping people move to Florida, not just to get here, but to have a better life. I think that's what I came to do with my family, going from a condo to an actual full house and just every opportunity that Florida has to offer. So if you're in a situation where you need to know information, you need advice on your specific situation, this number popping low is how you can get a hold of me and the team. You can call, text, email, or if you are in a hurry, you can even schedule a Zoom call down below. And pick a time that's convenient to you. You get on my calendar. We have a one-on-one Zoom. We kind of talk about it for about 45 minutes, figure everything out, give you some pointers, and hey, if nothing fits, then you move on. It's no pressure to you. It's just trying to get you the information you need to be able to make that move to Florida a reality for you and potentially your family if you're bringing them along as well. So taxes, huge thing to know about. But again, if you're looking to relocate out here, geez, if I could talk, then we are here to help you in that process. Now, the next thing, obviously, that's coming up, is like going down my list here, is housing costs. So housing costs, clearly, I think we can assume, it's safe to assume Florida has lower purchase price for homes. But there's a lot of hidden costs with owning a home in Florida that you might not think about when it comes to moving here. It can get really complicated. I've seen situations that just blow you out of the water. We're going to get into that here. So obviously in California, when it comes to purchase price, the average home at the time I did this recording, see it is February of 2023, $760,000 for your average single family home in California, like the whole state. Crazy, right? I very well know you can find cheaper single family homes than that. Like I said, I still have my team in San Diego that helps people leave the state, real estate decisions there. I get it. You can find cheaper homes than that, but we're going off averages here. This is a general assumption video. I'm not trying, like I said, specific situations, you got to reach out. But Florida, $404,000 for an average price, right? What's funny is that blows people away. It's actually not that cheap, right? It's not like you're moving to the middle of the Midwest. When we moved here, coming from California, I didn't give two you-know-whats because I was like, oh my God, I get a house. Fantastic, right? You can find homes for easily $325,000 or lower, depending where you're moving to in Florida, right? It's awesome. Now, I will tell you, if you're looking to move to major cities like Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa, things like that, yeah, that average is definitely going to hold true for like a minimum price point to get into a single family home. Like certain neighborhoods are always going to command higher. Florida's not like the cheap place it would be when it comes to housing prices. It's just not. But it definitely opens the door for more people, is what I say. The one thing I love about Florida when it comes to housing, though, when it comes to cost is, let's say like Orlando, for example, right? Where I'm based out of right now. And in Orlando, in the main city, yeah, so you're easily going to be hitting that average price point. But if you're willing to drive like within an hour radius, now you're looking at substantially cheaper homes. In most metros like San Diego, if you're looking to leave an hour out of the main center of the city, like downtown, yet you're still hitting the average price point for a house. It's freaking crazy. And that's one thing that will blow you away when it comes to Florida is you have the option. It's like if you're like, hey, I'm going to deal, what's the pain I want to deal with? Well, I can't afford this house. I'm going to drive a little bit farther, or I'm going to take that lower paying job, but I work from home, so I don't have to drive and I can live wherever I want to. But you get the power to choose like what pain you want to deal with and get into an actual home, right? But they always hold value well. You can do things with a home. I understand why people, it's like American dream, right? California, what options do you have? If you're currently in California right now, you understand that you're probably like, even if you are in a home, it's just obnoxious. Even if you have something, like you're affluent, you can afford that $1 million home. Like, is a $1 million home really that great anymore in California? I don't think so. Try and do the same thing here in Florida. It's going to blow you away. Guarantee it. Okay. So that's one thing I found the biggest difference when it comes to home prices. Now, obviously, when it comes to like condos and things like that, yeah, you're going to find cheaper condos here in Florida. I will tell you when it comes to condos and townhomes, though, it gets a little sketchy. We've all seen the collapse in Florida when it comes to that condo complex and things like that. It's a weird situation in Florida. A lot of HOAs seem to be underwater when it comes to their funds, and like it's a weird situation. So you definitely want to make sure you're getting good advice on where to go and kind of lean into, because every condos, there's a lot of bad condos out there. You don't want to get involved in a association that's just not doing well. Now, let's say you're not purchasing a home. Let's say you just want to rent. It's like, Cameron, I want to rent. I don't care about buying homes. I don't even know if I want to stay in Florida. I just want to rent. Great. Now we're going to go over the average rent for a 1-bedroom on a state level. So if you're looking at living in the center of a city, any city, so they took every major city in Florida and California, 1-bedroom, average rent inside the city, you're looking at paying about $1,600 a month for a 1-bedroom. Again, not that cheap, see? If you're living outside the city, like suburbs or farther, $1,300 a month. California, you're looking at $2,000 a month, and if you're looking outside, $1,700 a month. So rents actually aren't much more in California. That's what kind of blows people away. So they come here and they're like, Cameron, I'm just going to rent for the next year. It's like, okay, great. I understand you don't know if you want to stay here or there's some other situation going on. I always encourage everyone to just like, especially when they sit down with my team, it's like, look, let's look at all the options, because you might be surprised. Like if you're looking at rent a home in the middle of the city, $3,000 plus, easy, right? And you not even have a pool, not even that be great of a house. It's not, rents have gone crazy in Florida because a lot of people move here and they're like, I just want to rent because I don't know if I want to buy. Okay. And that's there's a lot of competition in the rental market. Right now at this market, I implore you that you're going to have more competition trying to get a rental than you would actually buying a home. So there's something to consider. And make sure you weigh both options before you kind of jump into it here in Florida if you are looking to make that move. So overall, rents, like it varies widely, right? So you got to really weigh those options. I encourage everyone to make that change because look, housing's still a major expense. And a lot of people, when they come here to Florida, they are always afraid to purchase something. One thing I will tell you is that the one thing I love about real estate in Florida is it has opportunity, right? A lot of places in California, it's an appreciation state. So homes appreciate fast and high, but they drop down just as low, right? But then they'll pick back up, of course. But they don't really give you like the flexibility and options like Florida does. And that's one thing I always consider everyone to consider. So even if you're looking to do something in a year, 2 years, what if you get yourself in a situation, maybe you could rent that home or you ride it out for a couple years and you kind of gain that equity and things like that. So weigh the option before you make the move out here and assume you're just going to jump into a rental, because you might find yourself fighting harder for a rental than you do actually buying a condo, townhome, or just any single family residence. I don't care what price point you're at. It just seems to be the case right currently at this market. Now, utilities. Now, looking at the entire state for all utilities, water, gas, electric, you end up paying about 8% higher in California than Florida. Again, everything's linked in the description below. These are just figures I'm finding for public knowledge. So you end up spending more in California. Now, obviously, when it comes to owning a home, the one thing that Florida will always be worse on is insurance. So if you're buying a home, even renter's insurance, like insurance is just, it's nuts. A lot of insurance providers are leaving the state and they're just dropping all policies. It's a mess. So it's why it's also important that, like, obviously it's why you can always reach out to us, and we can kind of help you, with multiple opinions and connections when it comes to getting home insurance and things like that, because it is a state where you have to make sure you have a good insurance provider, because you get hurricanes, right? So your home repair costs are going to be higher. If a really bad hurricane comes through, like that could affect you. Like there are other costs that people just don't talk about when it comes to moving to Florida. and you have to be prepared. Having extra water in the house, extra food, because storms happen during the hurricane season, right? During the late spring, summer, fall months. So you have to make sure you're prepared. And yeah, while California on the sticker is more expensive, and I will tell you, for me and my family, we found it to be a lot more expensive for sure. Florida does have its, hey, within a 30-year period, you're probably going to experience this. So you have to understand that those costs are there, and you have to make sure you have the right plan in place. I will tell people, like, a lot of these costs with the extra hidden costs with Florida can be mitigated, but you have to make sure you have the right plan. Talk about it with your family. Make sure you have budget for it. Like, if you plan for it, you're okay. But my one fear is people moving to Florida and they don't think about this stuff. They've never been through a hurricane. They never even probably been through a rainy season like we have here, right? During hurricane season. So you have to be prepared and kind of just planning for those things to happen. But those are costs that are just added to owning a home, like broken windows, like things like that. Like, it'll just happen. Roof repair, things like that. So you have to make sure you have the right plan in place to make sure you're kind of taking care of it as it comes up. The next figure is gas. Yes. I remember when I first got to California in 2014, and diesel was cheaper than gas, right? The good old days before, they wanted to tax you, they raised taxes to change your way of life, even though you don't want to. It's great. So obviously gas, and the average gas right now when I made this video is $4.61 a gallon in California. In Florida, it was $3.39. So it's not like Texas cheap, right? So gas is cheaper, right? And that's not even Costco price. So obviously you can find it a little bit cheaper. I know, like, when I made this video, I reached out to family in San Diego and they paid about $4.17 at Costco in San Diego. So look, I know you can find cheaper than that. This is just the state average, okay? Obviously, it helps because Florida is just overall cheaper. So again, if you're able to maintain your income when you move here, that's a benefit. Like, it's still cheaper. It's still a blessing, right? Now, there's not much to say on that. It just is. It's always going to be a little bit cheaper. And a lot of that comes down to taxes, really. California just, again, taxes into oblivion. People leave the state and they're like, oh, got to make more money, and they raise taxes. Now, groceries. So when we moved to Florida, I didn't see much of a change in our grocery bill, if I'm being honest. California, Florida, really, if you're into budgeting, you stick to coupons, what's on sale, things like that. I didn't see much of a difference when it came to grocery prices. I will tell you, eating out, just as expensive. I will say, though, it's maybe a little bit cheaper to eat out. Not so much at like the main chain restaurants, but it ends up being a little bit cheaper when it comes to like mom and pop restaurants and stuff like that. Not by much. It's still expensive, right? But groceries, yeah. The one thing I will note, though, when it comes to groceries is you end up spending like on certain items, right? Like avocados, not huge common here in Florida. An avocado is gonna be more expensive here than it would be in California, right? But the vice versa when it comes to oranges, citrus, and things like that. So if there's certain items that you're used to in California, they might be a little bit more expensive here, or a lot more depending on the season. So be aware that's gonna change. But overall, grocery bills stayed about the same, right? I didn't see much of a change. It's about the same as we had in California. Some people like to get really in depth with this and like, oh, it changes, it's cheaper. But, overall, we didn't see much change in our family. I kind of just maintained the same grocery budget we had in California. We still use it, right? I mean, I got a home with 3 boys, so it gets pretty crazy. But yeah, we didn't see much of a difference when we moved here when it came to that. Now, the next big thing is wages, jobs. I have seen a lot of people who we've helped relocate to Florida, and their company moved them here, or they got the same job here or something like that, and they're getting paid more or the same that they were making where they're coming from. So this happens a lot. But I've also seen situations where companies have said, hey, we'll relocate you, but we're gonna pay you a little bit less, right? Cost of living adjustment. So you need to be careful. If your company's moving you here, or you're starting to look at jobs for the industry here, make sure you understand where your wage is going to be at. Are you going to be losing money? Maybe you're gaining money. I mean, I've seen people get like their dream job at Disney. Disney's bringing them out here, and now they're making like, $80,000 a year, which for Florida's good wage. So you need to be aware of kind of where you sit and understand that you may take a hit. Obviously, minimum wage in Florida, $11 per hour. California, $15.50 an hour. But like I said, the minimum wage is a little bit different. Not much different, but you know, if you're making a minimum wage job, this is probably a different situation for you in a lot of ways. But I think for most people, they tend to maintain their income when they come here. But I've definitely seen a lot who have had taken a small hit because the cost of living is a little bit cheaper when they move here. So overall, there's a lot of numbers when it comes to making the move, and it can be complicated. Everyone's situation is different. What you're trying to do is different. And that's why if you're looking to make a plan, you're looking to get involved in something related to real estate, and you need a professional who's not only made the move, but a team who knows how to get you from A to Z in the right way to make sure you're living that better life when you get here, and you're comfortable and it's as smooth as possible. This number down below, you can call, text, or email me. Or like I said, if you want to jump that line and just go straight to the end, go ahead and schedule that Zoom call down below. Free consultation, no strings attached. We're going to sit down, talk about your situation, give some advice as we see fit or as you need, and we'll give you that plan. I don't care if it's now or 2 years in the future. The best thing to do is reach out. We kind of get that plan started and help you get the information you need, because it's not a simple move. You're moving across the country, right? Or heck, maybe even you're trying to do further information between California and Florida. Like I said, live in both places. I prefer one or the other, but you might be still in that phase of you're trying to figure out if you should make that move or not. I love doing that as well. So you can always reach out to us. I hope you got value in this video. I hope we got your mind churning to what the different costs are between California and Florida. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.